There we go. Welcome everybody to today's community call. Today we're sharing poems of gratitude and resilience with each other. Our usual, the program director for RCC is not here today because he's out sick. We're just so glad that you all could join us today. I'm the admin assistant for RCC. My name is Erin McCauley. Use she, they, any pronouns. I always like to say if you need to practice using alternate pronouns, feel free to use them on me because I don't mind using any pronouns that you like. So feel free to try that out on me. Before we get started, we like to share our community agreements with each other and our core values just so that you can get to know RCC a little bit better. So I'll share those with you real quickly before we get started. Let's see. What's here? So here are RCC's core values. The power of place and space, the interplay of inner and outer work, a commitment to universal flourishing. The Retreat Center collaboration is a community of practice for Retreat Center leaders and their allies across the United States and Canada. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about what these values mean and how we put them into practice, I would invite you to take a look at our website. Our green paper goes into these core values quite a bit and gives you an idea of what we're trying to do as a community together. Our agreements for our community gatherings: please speak from your own experience. Your voice and your story are important. We're all knowers and learners in this space. Silence can be centering. Movement and sound can be centering too. Please keep others' stories confidential, but do share what you learn. This is an invitational space. Participate as you're able. Hold discomfort with grace and deep listening. We're not here to fix each other. And choice is the smallest unit of liberation. So we just welcome you all into this space, and we're so glad that you're here to join us today. Margarita will be leading us through sharing our poems of gratitude and resilience. Margarita, would you like to introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about you?
Thank you, Erin. Hi, everybody. My name is Margarita Solis-Deal, and I am here in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, as they say, in Philadelphia. Been here almost 3 years, and I run the Mother Boniface Spirituality Center. It's run by the Trinitarians, they are known as, missionary servants of the Most Blessed Trinity. It's a Catholic-based retreat center, and have been involved with running retreat centers for quite a while. My background is a little bit in more of camping. I started out in those as a camp director in different places throughout the country. And so the retreat center has a very strong parallel. So kind of my heart stayed into the work. So I was very involved with the RCC and its beginnings, sitting on the leadership of RCC. And it's been a while since I've been on a community call. And it's so nice. I appreciate Erin and Ben for inviting me to come and just kind of rejoin in the community, because I'm just grateful for the values and kind of the rules of the road, so to speak, that you just put up there, and that's something new that I haven't seen. And so it's just nice to see how the evolvement has been with RCC. So I am going to be facilitating this beautiful conversation, but I'm really going to facilitate and participate at the same time. So I think it's one of these kind of opportunities that I can wear both hats, where many of you know what that experience is like. So because we're small, let's just kind of take some time to imagine that we're all in the same space, which I know we are technology-wise, but Gosh, if you were here at our center, I know exactly the room we would be using to be having a conversation like this. It would be a very comfortable space, and you might have that in your own retreat center. So picture that room and all of us coming in to that space, because these kind of conversations lends itself for reflection and connection. And so I hope that's what happens this afternoon. We might use the full hour and a half, or we may not, so we will see how things go. Amy, it's great to have you being the first here. This is just a great pleasure to have somebody brand new into the space. So welcome.
Thank you.
Why don't we, because we're small, if it's okay, Erin, just maybe we could go around and just introduce ourselves and where you are. Yeah, just let's go ahead and do that. Maybe the retreat center that you represent today, if you're comfortable with that. If you're not, that's fine. So whoever wants to go first, I will let them.
Well, I'm happy to start. So my name is Liz Koifer. I am the director of the Transfiguration Spirituality Center. We are a retreat center in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we are a ministry of the Society of the Transfiguration, which are Episcopal nuns here in Cincinnati.
Sweet. Thank you, Liz.
I can go next. I'm Jamie Deering. I'm in Little Falls, Minnesota. I'm the Director of Programs Ministry for the Franciscan Sisters of Little Falls. And we're just beginning to feel like winter is approaching. It's a little chilly today.
Yeah, we had snow this morning, so yeah, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, we had snow in it. It said it feels like 0 outside. So I am Sarah. I am a Franciscan sister and a spiritual director at the Franciscan Spirituality Center in La Crosse, Wisconsin, just down the river. So
Great.
Well, I'll go. It's nice to know there's a couple of other Episcopalians on this call. So I'm Amy Bostwick. I serve at Cayuga, which is primarily an Episcopal conference center outside of Asheville and the beautiful Appalachian Mountains here and on the land of the East Band of the Cherokee. And it's a beautiful place. And I serve as the coordinator of community and spiritual life. So bringing a bit more of some awareness around spiritual formation that happens in nature. I also work with our conferences and programming a good bit. So thank you.
That's great.
I'm gonna jump. Can I mind if I jump in really quick for some crosstalk? Amy,
Yeah.
our sisters have a property down in Bat Cave, and we were just down there, and we are talking about how we can develop that as a ministry center / retreat center. I didn't know if you know, do you know Rob Conkle? He ran Proctor up here in Ohio, and he was down there and he knew all about Cayuga. He's been there many times.
Nice.
I'd love to connect you, just talk about what you're doing with the nature stuff. So
Sure.
I'm going to put my email in the chat if you can.
Okay.
We can connect. Thank you.
And I was going to tell you that I believe I used to live in Cincinnati when I was a child, and I believe I've been to the community of the Transfiguration with my mom when I was little. So yeah.
That is so great. I mean, I thank you, Liz, for doing that. And it's Amy, this is exactly what this is all about, is that connection and networking and networking I use in a different sense. It's about building relationships with one another. So I'm glad that happened. We saw it firsthand. Ken, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks so much. Sorry, I drifted away for a minute there. So I'm at the Alex Haley Farm in Clinton, Tennessee. This property is owned by the Children's Defense Fund, and the property was first cared for by the Cherokee people. Our center is reaching 30 years next year, so 30-year anniversary in serving child advocates only. Our mission is to make sure that we've got a place for teachers, caseworkers, pediatricians, people who, the nursing staff, the dental staff that deal with children. So that's what our retreat village is all about, is serving those child advocates. And what else was I supposed to cover?
That's good. Whatever you wanted to cover, that's good. Yeah, great. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
And Nancy, I will invite you. That's up to you if you're able to say hello. Okay. Well, if you do later on, great. If not, that's okay too. We see that you're present with us. So today's focus and agenda is really to focus on gratitude. And with so much happening in our world today, oh gosh, every day we probably could say that every single day, right? That how do we lean into gratitude, lean into the energy that it provides as well as it gives. And it's really, gratitude is something that you really can't fake it till you make it. You know, you either are grateful for something or you recognize its beauty enough to be grateful. And so today we're trying to lean into the authenticity and to see if we can invite each other into that space. You may want to have a pencil, paper, or something to write with, just for your own reflection. If there's a question that comes out or a word that kind of, or phrase that resonates with you as we move forward, you may want to just jot it down, because it would be good to see how some of what is being shared is really kind of catching on to you. The thing with gratitude, I think, you know, you meet somebody who's grateful for something, and you meet one person, and that person itself, that person, I think another person that walks by that thing that they see as beauty may not see it so beautiful, you know? So it's just like, it's all within the internal sense of the eye of the beholder, I suppose that phrase goes. So we introduce these, or we share what we have, knowing very well it will fall on people's ears and eyes very differently. And so I was appreciative of Erin sharing how open that the RCC invites us to be, to look at it from all sides and all perspectives. So I thought I would start us off to kind of warm us up a little bit. Many of you probably have already heard of Brother David Standel Rest and the wonderful work he's done on gratitude. And this is just a beautiful video. You might have seen it. I've seen it 100 times, and I always enjoy watching it. But it does set us in a stage of being grateful, and he invites us. He doesn't pressure us. He just invites us, and does it with such great imagery. So why don't we take some time to kind of find a space that we're relaxing and soak it in. And I would ask you, as you do that, to jot something that resonates with you, a word or a phrase or an image or a sound that will come up. I ask you not to put it on chat, but kind of jot it down if you could. I just don't want to interrupt the flow of the video with chat. And so at this time, let's kind of maybe do it that way. And afterwards, we'll have some time to just reflect on that. And then we'll open it up. If any of you have something to share, whether it's a poem or an image or an experience that you would like to share of gratitude. Sound good? Yeah. All right. Erin, could you get that for us?
Got it right here. Is that coming through for everybody? Do you see it's dark right now, I think. Let me do a quick test to make sure we've got sound on your side. Do you hear music? Oh, Liz, you were hearing sound?
Oh, I hear you. I don't hear anything from the video.
Yeah, I don't hear
Hmm.
sound on the video yet.
Check. Get a little farther in and see at all. Nothing yet. I might need to unplug my headphones and share a sound that. Let's see if it'll do it that way.
Do you think this is just another day in your
Yes.
life?
Yay.
It's not just another day. It's the one day that is given to you today. It's a gift. It's the only gift that you have right now. And the only appropriate response is gratefulness.
Aaron, I'm sorry to
If
interrupt.
you want to respond,
Yeah, it's coming in choppy. I don't know about for everybody else. Is it? Or does everybody hear it okay? Everybody hear it okay?
Just
All
a
right.
little choppy for me. It's a little choppy.
Okay, it might be the connections, just depending on the connections.
Yeah, okay. All right.
We'll do the best with what we have.
as if it were the first day in your life and the very last day, then you will have spent this day very well. Begin by opening your eyes and be surprised that you have eyes you can open. An incredible array of colors that is constantly offered to us for pure enjoyment. Look at the sky. We so rarely look at the sky. We so rarely note how different it is from moment to moment with clouds coming and going. Open your eyes, look at that. Look at the faces of people when you meet. Each one has an incredible story behind their face. Not only their own story, but the story of their ancestors. In that life from generations and from so many places all over the world flows together and meets you here like a life-giving water if you really open your heart and drink. Open your heart to the incredible gifts that civilization gives to us. Flip a switch and there is electric light. Turn a faucet and there is warm water and cold water and drinkable water. A gift that millions and millions in the world will never experience. And so I wish you that you will open your heart to all these blessings and let them flow through you. That everyone whom you will meet on this day will be blessed by you. Just by your presence. Let the gratefulness overflow into blessing all around you. Then it will really be a good day.
I will also share the link to that in the chat. So if it was choppy for some people, you can revisit it if you need to or would like to.
Thank you, Erin. Let's just take some time, and if you have a chance to kind of watch that on your own device and your own computer, it really, if like Erin said, if it was a little bit choppy, it does have the sound of beautiful music as well as his voice narrating this beautiful poem that he wrote, along with the imagery. So it kind of blends it all together. But I saw some people smile at some of the photos and some images that kind of connected. So let's take just a minute and sit with that, a little bit of his invitation of gratitude for the day, for the present moment, and see if there was anything, any image or word, or if you heard any of the sound that kind of connected with you or reminded you of a story of being grateful for the many ways that he asked us to be grateful for. Let's just take a minute to do that. Does anything come to your mind, or did you write something down from watching that you would like to kind of share with the rest of the group?
The one line that really charmed me was be surprised that you have eyes with which to see. Way back long ago, I studied phenomenological philosophy and existential philosophy, and yeah, just the experience of being aware that all of your body is able to do is a blessing in itself, and so often, yeah, that's something we take for granted, that we hear, that we see, that we touch, that we sense heat, or we sense roughness, and just being surprised that we even have those abilities is what charmed me.
Thanks, Ken. I love the way you say charmed. I think I'm going to steal that one from you. Anybody else? Any thoughts?
Kind of in that same vein, the baby who was surprised when the light flipped on and off and was like, and I remember my kids, just awe and wonder at the world around them as they're that age and discovering everything.
Thanks, Liz.
I wrote down the word gift, of course, and open. Those are two words that stood out to me. And I was also drawn to, in the video, just the clouds, and how the lighting changes with the clouds as the clouds move. And it made me think, this morning I got up early and the moon is full and it's so beautiful. And out my window, looking at it through the trees, and the clouds were kind of moving across, and the lighting would change and it would disappear and then it would come back. And just you know, when we allow ourselves that time to be in wonder, it reminds us of just presence and beauty and so much to be grateful for. Because I don't know about y'all, but where I work is pretty beautiful. I imagine for a lot of you too, that these are holy, sacred spaces, and the beauty in nature is just breathtaking. And sometimes I pray I never take that for granted when I come to work, that it always makes me pause at the beauty around me.
Thank you, Amy.
I like the phrase "open your heart." It just resonated with me. And I also really like the images of the little babies just smiling and mimicking and all those things. And one of our coworkers just became a grandmother this weekend. And so she shared pictures of her new little grandbaby. And so it's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I love that assertion that your presence is a gift. Just your presence. You don't have to do anything. Jamie, sorry, I interrupted you.
It's okay, Erin. I didn't see you start. I echo that. I wrote down the one day given to you. That's what charmed me. I love that word too.
Mhm.
The one day given to you. And then later there was the turtle that was just floating, and it was floating sideways, and just being present for the one day given. So.
I mean, I've watched that so many times, and each time it does kind of connect with me. And what I think what I love about what you all are sharing is how it connects into another story, you know. So that's where I find this human experience so fascinating, that we are always connected to so many stories. And when I looked at it, a story that came to me were the clouds as well. My husband and I lived in Guatemala for a few years, working in Antigua. Our home was in Antigua, but we worked throughout the country. And there was one particular place in Antigua. I mean, it's surrounded by 3 volcanoes, and there was a restaurant that we would go, a little kind of hole in the wall place. But you had to walk up. I mean, it was like a 3-story. You have to go up to the 3rd story. And on the 3rd floor, it was an open space. And so you could sit, and we always used to sit together facing the outsides, because the clouds would change. Every time you look down and you would look up again, the clouds would change. And I was just always so mesmerized by having the opportunity to watch the clouds just change right in front, and especially with that scenery that we had. I think the other thing that I'm always touched by is when he talks about water, and how the faucet, turning on the faucet and turning off the faucet. And then too, I think in the places that I've traveled in Latin America, how true that is, you know, where we have the opportunity to be grateful, yet it's juxtaposed around people not having it, you know. So it's such a kind of eerie gratefulness, if I could use it just is uncomfortable. There's a tension there, I think, that that I don't always appreciate when I'm grateful for something, that there is this tension that, well, I guess we do, like, well, we know how grateful we are to work at retreat centers, as Amy said, for example, because the others don't have that kind of opportunity. So we are very, you know, it's a tension sometimes as well. Any other thoughts on that? We could probably spend a whole semester on this video in itself. Yeah. Okay, well, this is how it goes. So, however, if there's any of you, I don't know if any of you brought anything that you would like to share. And if you did, this is a great opportunity to do that. And I would ask you to share it. And then if you want us to respond to it, let us know, prepare us to do so, because sometimes that helps. Or if you just want us to listen to it, just to share what you find grateful and your story that you find that you brought with you, then we'll do that as well. So it's your invitation to us, however you want to do that.
I'm happy to go.
Great.
I'll put in the chat the poem I'm going to read. I've become a David White fan over the past couple of years, but actually was at Canoga a little bit ago. And I just appreciate so much of his perspective on many things, but this poem in particular, and this particular part of my life and my journey really spoke to me. And I don't know if it screams gratitude. It screams maybe a little bit about resilience and how our resiliency leads us into gratitude. So yeah, I just invite you to, so speaking of the woods and trees and rocks and the sun. And so if you wanted to be able to close your eyes and imagine your favorite space to go and to experience those things as I read, that might be beneficial. It's an excerpt from a poem, a longer poem called Coleman's Bed, from David White's books called Essentials. Let the sun into your heart. Be taught now among the trees and the rocks, how the discarded is woven into shelter. Learn the way things hidden and unspoken slowly proclaim their voice in the world. Find that far inward symmetry to all outward appearances. Apprentice yourself to yourself. Begin to welcome back all you sent away and be a new annunciation. Let the sun into your heart and broaden your spacious mind. Make yourself a door through which to be hospitable, even to the stranger in you. So I would do similarly as Margarita did, if there's a particular word or phrase that spoke to you, if you want to share about that.
I just love those last few lines. Make yourself a door through which to be hospitable, even to the stranger in you. That invitation to, we don't even know everything about ourselves, and there's always more to learn. Love that.
I like the hidden and unspoken. Hidden and unspoken slowly proclaim their voice, but hidden and unspoken. That really speaks to me.
Ken, thank you for that. That's beautiful. I loved the use of the word enunciation in there. Be a new enunciation. I was thinking as I read it, how it kind of does echo the video a bit. And when we live our lives in gratitude, we're able to do so much of what he is calling us to in this poem. And so I find that interesting, that interplay. So thank you.
Well, I loved the let the sun into your heart. Just, that just is such a very powerful feeling, I suppose, an image. I mean, it's quite a bit kind of comes out of those few words. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What shimmered for me was to welcome back all you sent away. And I recently moved to a home that's on a lake, and the experience has been one of welcoming back parts of myself that have gone away and been sent away and come back. So that really resonated. Thank you for that.
Mm.
And for me, that line, welcome back, that which you sent away, really gave me a challenge. That there's things I've sent away because I needed them to be away. I needed to clear them out.
Mhm.
And so now I'm being asked to maybe open myself up to bringing them back in, because maybe they are something that can feed me. Maybe they are something that can help build me up. And so it becomes a challenge too, to question my judgment in the past of why I sent something away.
I was struck, the first thing that struck me was how the discarded is woven into shelter.
Yeah.
But then later, welcome back all you sent away, which is the discarded. And this discarded, whether it's a good thing we sent away for whatever reason or a bad thing, it's the story of our lives. You know, that's what our lives are made of, whether that's part of it now or not. And I don't know. So I'm trying to put all that together in my head.
Let's just sit with that for a little while. Amy, thank you so much for that. It's amazing what poetry, as we know, does, right? It just kind of connects us to our own story, and that the age span we're in, or the experiences that we're just having. So kind of let's sit with that. I appreciate you putting it on chat like that, because it gives us the time to kind of look at the words again. So as we sit in this time together, I think about gratefulness, and I guess what comment just came, or what thought came to my head, was the sense of retreat centers. I mean, you invite people into a retreat center, you sit them around a room, and you go deep really fast, you know. You don't know these people, and yeah, you just go right into it. And this is what's happening right now. I just kind of like it, one of those moments, like step out and see what's happening, because it's exactly the reflection of what happens in our retreat centers. That, you know, it's not a place you could do small talk too long. I mean, you just go right into it. So I appreciate that everybody's open to do that today. Nancy, welcome. It's good to see your face. Yeah, we're glad you're here. So
thank you. Sorry, I had to go in and out for a little bit.
that's okay. Yeah. Part of me wants to walk on that labyrinth you have in that background of yours. So
Oh, Buffalo is 30 miles south of us. They have 2 feet of snow today.
oh,
We have green grass and no snow.
wow.
Yep. And we're just 6 miles from Lake Ontario, and we can see Canada. But we have the weather pattern. We don't have the lake west of us. So we get about 50 inches less snow than Buffalo. And we're north of Buffalo, which is kind of interesting. So and if you look at the weather report, you'll see areas around Buffalo, 2 feet.
And for that, you're grateful that you're not in it.
I said to my husband this morning, I'm so glad we moved up here. I'm so glad we moved up here. But the labyrinth does look really neat in the snow. That's why I put that up there today.
Yeah, it's very nice. Okay, Amy, thank you. This, I would invite anybody else, if anybody brought something that they'd like to share with the group.
I have something to share, and I will follow Amy's wisdom and put it in the, oh, it says it's too long. It's a poem by Talia, and I hope I'm saying that name right, Hunter. And I just invite your noticing of what shimmers as you listen. Touching in with that space in us that knows love and beauty. And if we are to shine, may we shine as the stars do, which glow brightly in the darkness and illuminate the beauty of all that surrounds them. And if we are to heal, may we heal as the forests do, which regenerate following the harshest of fires and the coldest of winters. And if we are to grow, may we grow as the plants do, slowly, with stability, directed toward the light. And if we are to let go, may we let go as the trees do, shedding and releasing what is old in order to make the way for the new. And if we are to move forward, may we flow freely as the rivers do, which surrender to their paths gently, without resistance. And if we are to transform, may we transform as the moon does, which continues to shine in all of its phases, knowing that it is no less beautiful when it isn't perfect or whole. And if we are to live, may we live as those before us did, bravely, boldly, passionately, and purposefully. And may we never lose touch with the dreams that lie dormant within us, waiting to be expressed and shared with the world. I invite a few moments to just notice what shimmers. And I will see if I can put parts of it in the chat at a time. So, yeah.
Can I ask, could you at least do the title and the author?
There's the first. I'll just put them in the sequence. It's Talia. Let me put this in first. If you Google that, you will find it. So yeah, there's the first two. The next two. There you go.
I enjoyed that one quite a bit. I especially like the repetitive nature of, and if we are to, and then the different verbs. When you got to the one about the trees, I'm actually going to have tears in my eyes. Tomorrow we're having to fell 5 big trees right next to our driveway. One's already cracked and almost missed part of the house. The other ones are dead on the inside. And when I left home this morning to drive to work, because they're going to work on it tomorrow morning, I said, goodbye, trees. We're going to miss you, but you'll make way for something new. And it was just amazing that that's exactly the third line, or excuse me, the fifth line of the poem. And if we are to let go, trees, letting go of the old, but providing space for new. I mean, that's absolutely perfect with where my heart is today about these 4, 5 spruce pine trees. They're huge. They are huge. So I'm sad to see them go, but they've lived a good life.
Nancy, I just want to say that we recently had to fell one of our very old trees right by our driveway too. So my heart is feeling that with you.
Yeah, they line the driveway.
Mhm.
My husband says that's a snow block, and I said it almost missed the house. You know, I mean they're dead on the inside. They've lived their life.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm actually tearing up over these old trees.
Amy, I really appreciated the way the stanzas cycle through these different invitations, taking us to embody all of these different natural bodies, you know, stars, trees, the moon, and just relaxing into those different ways of being. And it just feeling, for me, it felt so refreshing and natural and wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I loved how the author used like the images of the natural world, but speaking about, well, things the nature does, but humans, to shine, to heal, to grow, to let go, to move forward. And then the final, whoops, not the final, but knowing that it is no less beautiful when it isn't perfect or whole. That really stuck with me.
I think it's something, Nancy, you said about the trees, that they are dead inside. And when I was listening to this beautiful piece, I thought I felt a sense of tinge of pain, of whether it's a letting go process. We know that's not easy. There's pain, there's suffering, and a lot of the growth that happens with anything. And so, but when you said it was those trees are dead inside, I thought about how much, and especially this process that we're doing right now, how much that feeds our inside. You know, it really kind of gives us, I don't know, that nourishment needed so that we stand in the center of that gratitude. It's so that we are not like those trees necessarily that might be dead inside. Yeah, so I don't know, I'm sitting with that. I don't know why, but that phrase really caught me when you said that today, Nancy. So thank you for that.
For me, all these invitations, and if we are to, invitations, talk about the spiritual journey, transformation. And I too love that they're paired with creation, just how the connectedness, the unity of all being, and each invitation being parsed out, parts of the spiritual journey being parsed out. That's what really lights me up about this writing.
Thank you for that. It was beautiful, and yeah, it's one that we can sit with probably in any nice corner space of our retreat centers, right, and really reflect on each one of those movements. I want to ask, how many do all of you have something that you would like to share, or how many do we have? Okay, because I just want to honor that you brought something and that we can actually share that. So, Erin, do you want to share what you have?
Sure, yeah. It's I actually brought a couple of books from this particular author, a poet, Jared K. Anderson. He's one of my favorite poets now. He very openly struggles with depression, and the natural world is one of the ways that helps him cope with his depression, and he writes about that quite a bit in his books. His first book is Field Guide to the Haunted Forest, and his second book is Love Notes from the Fallen Tree, or from the Hollow Tree, actually. That might go with our theme today. And he has another book coming out, but I can't remember the title of it. It's coming out this month, but just adore his perspective of nature. And one of my favorite poems of his is actually called Welcome. It's a very short poem. And my invitation for all of you while I read this is just to sink into the invitation here and let yourself be present in this. It's a kind of a cabin space that he takes us into. And so yeah, it starts out. Welcome. Step inside my cabin and hang your coat by the door. You smell of snowfall and hemlock boughs. I just fed the stove and the logs are whispering like radio static. Soon that white lace on your boots will pool on the floorboards, making them shine like polished stone. Rest here as long as you like. It's no trouble that our meeting place is imaginary. Many worthwhile things are. Pause for a second to let you digest that, and then I'll read it again one more time. Welcome. Step inside my cabin and hang your coat by the door. You smell of snowfall and hemlock boughs. I just fed the stove and the logs are whispering like radio static. Soon that white lace on your boots will pool on the floorboards, making them shine like polished stone. Rest here as long as you like. It's no trouble that our meeting place is imaginary. Many worthwhile things are. Yeah, I invite any responses if something came up for you in that reading.
So much imagery. I just imagined my fire at home, and now when I get home, I'm going to go listen to the radio static. I just love that.
Yeah, the imagery is so good. I mean, it's like tactile, like you can feel where you are and what you're doing. And then he says imaginary, and it kind of changes everything about how you're thinking about it. But I like, that we're all meeting in the same imaginary place. That's really cool.
I love that too. When the word imaginary comes into the poem, it really shifts the poem for me. It made me wonder, are they imagining that they're with someone who's gone before, right? That they can no longer be with. And so they're imagining a space they'd shared with them before that they long to share with them. So that just kind of took my breath away a little bit.
I love the invitation about welcome and rest a while. Those two really kind of connected with me.
Yeah, that feels like it's at the heart of retreat center work, isn't it? We're inviting people into these spaces, whether it's in themselves or in the world, the larger world, where they can just come, just rest. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Maybe let's kind of breathe that in and then breathe it out. That's the thing with being grateful, right? Sometimes it can be intoxicating because it's so like, it fills you up so much. And so I appreciate that. Ken, I would invite you if you're ready, or Sarah. I know that you both brought something, so.
Thanks. I'll jump in at the invitation. Thank you.
Okay.
So here at the Alex Haley Farm, we received a donation from Marie Nambu. Marie Nambu taught African studies for 40 years in different colleges and universities. And at the end of her career, she had gone to Africa several times and brought back artwork, and she donated 375 pieces of artwork to us. And one of the most prominent ones I'm going to share with you with the poem that came with it. So this is Mother Africa, this sculpture, and it's the largest piece of African art that Marie Nambu donated to us. And we had a group of high school teachers here once. James Bolton was among them, and James met Mother Africa outdoors where we have her displayed, and then wrote this poem next to it. So I wanted to share that with you. Like a slowly ripening pumpkin, eager to feed the ones who come after, is there aught else in periphery of that Abrahamic stare? Does her sidelong foresight's imperfect gaze take in the dream realized? And so this is the poem I have to offer. Something that a lot of our guests come to see, and then they get to read this poem and have their own interpretation of each of the pieces around our property.
Would you like responses, Ken?
Sure.
I just wanted to say that I really love the invitation of the question marks in this poem. It surprised me at first because I sort of expected it to be a statement, but the question marks sort of leave room for Maybe, maybe not. And in conjunction with the statue itself too, it weaves together so beautifully.
For me, the phrase, the dream realized, kind of shifted the whole thing, kind of like the word imagination did in the last poem. It was just like, whoo, look at that. So beautiful. It was very lovely.
And that with the juxtaposition of imperfect foresight. Like that was the question that came up for me was, foresight imperfect? What? And then have it followed by, and the dream realized? Or part of that dream? All of that dream realized? Part of it? Imperfectly? So, yeah.
I think for me, it set me on a wonder about all those other pieces you have on your property. And I was like, wow, just this one piece and how powerful it is. And I wonder what the others look like as well. Such a gift.
Yeah, an incredible gift from her to realize she didn't want to put them in a museum. She wanted them out where people could interact with them. And so that to offer them to us really was incredible. She tells a story of actually meeting Alex Haley the first day that she was hired to teach. So it came to an incredibly grand circle that Alex Haley would write Roots and introduce so many people to genealogical studies. And then she would bring all of this incredible African artwork to our location.
Wow. Well, I don't want to speak for the RCC since I'm not in that leadership anymore, but I think Aaron, invite this wonderful man to show off this center of his and these beautiful art pieces. I think that would be a nice community call. I'm just saying.
I'm sure interested.
Jen, is it Alex Haley, like Alex Haley of Roots, Alex Haley?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, he only lived on the property for 8 years, and we've had the Children's Defense Fund has now owned it for 30 years. So, yeah.
It's great.
Then I'll stop sharing and then give someone else another chance to share.
Thank you, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah.
Yeah, I can share. I have an image too I'm going to share. So this is about resilience and hope, and it was written the three gentlemen who were shot in Vermont this weekend all studied at a Quaker boarding school in Ramallah that some of my friends have connections to. And this is from one of the gentlemen when he was in the 6th grade. His 6th grade teacher remembers this poem that he wrote when he was in the 6th grade.
Wow.
And it just really sang to me, so I thought I would share it. So this is Hope by Hisham Awartani. Hope dwells in my heart. It shines like a light in darkness. This light cannot be smothered. It cannot be drowned out by tears and screams of the wounded. It only grows in strength. This light can outshine hate. This light can outshine injustice. It outshines segregation and apartheid. As of Greek legend, Pandora opened a box. And when she did that, all the evil escaped. But luckily, Pandora closed the jar before hope could escape. And as long as hope stayed in that jar, hope would never escape. So I ask you one thing, learn from that story. Learn to never give up hope. Learn to let hope give power in the darkest of times. Learn to let hope give power in the darkest of times. So I just invite you to share anything that comes to you or anything that resonates with you.
This makes me think of something that, I mean, it's just so beautiful and it takes my breath away about, that this young man wrote this at that age and what he's experienced recently. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Cole Arthur Riley, but she's written a book called This Here Flesh, and she's a woman of color, a young contemplative. And she spoke recently and was speaking of how lament is hope. Because when we lament something, it's because we know it, because we've tasted it, we know what it can be. And this echoes that for me, that it's going through these kinds of situations where it feels hopeless, that we lament what we've lost. And so there's hope that we can taste it or find it again. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, Amy, you said that so well. I'm struggling to have a response that's different from that, but I really appreciate the sense of the acknowledgement of grief and hardship, and that it dwells simultaneously with hope and light. And the sense of that enclosed box that holds hope being the heart. Just, it's wonderful.
It makes me wonder his story to have written that at that age. I mean, I think we can maybe understand part of it, but wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think what the line that strikes me is light can outshine injustice, or the light can outshine hate. And how challenging it is to stay in the light, even us that feel like we're doing the right kind of work, how do we stay in our own light to fight, to be witness to that? That's and I don't know if of the way it's written, is that just how he wrote it, or is it the style of the actual print? But it just made me feel like it was a tree. Such a tree is such the image of what we're talking about today, but the image of how the words are kind of laid out, centered like that. Had that kind of a shape that, like, okay, well, maybe there's that tree we keep bringing back. Yeah.
I like that line, it only grows in strength. I think that's something that I need to hear right about now.
Thank you, Sarah. Wow, we just kind of moved, didn't we? I just, I appreciate you, Aaron, and help inviting me to facilitate, but I think I just participated in it. So we all kind of had our way of invitation. So grateful that you all who brought something to share, that you took on the invitation to set the invitation to others. So that I thought that was just a nice way of threading it all together. There's a lot of threads, there's a lot of connection, I think, in everything that was said today and amongst the work that we do. So I think today, and just having that time for the RCC to invite us just to stop and to come this way, I think is really, was really needed, as many of us said, and powerful. So I want to thank you, Aaron and Ben, for the invitation. Is there anything that anybody else would like to say before we start to close on what they received from something like this today, or an insight that you might have gained?
Thanks for welcoming me as a new person, and I so enjoyed this, and I think I found my people. So thanks, y'all.
We often hear that. We often hear that. I found my people.
That's what we said when we got on our first RCC call. I only started here a year ago, Amy. And my first call was with another group that was very, very different than this one. And then this was like the next day. And my coworker and I, after this one, were like, oh, these are our people.
It sounds like something that I did when I went to a corporate training conference, because I've been a training educator for over 40 years. I called my husband in the lobby of the Orlando Convention Center. And this is back BC, before cell phones, before computers. So we were on a bank of phones, and I'm telling my husband, I said, Arthur, there's 7,000 people here and they're all just like me. And a couple people on the phone down past me, they just roared, I wasn't talking to them. I didn't realize they were listening, but it's kind of how you feel, X amount of people and they're just like me.
Well, that's good to hear. Well, I believe the poems and the readings and the reflections said it all, so I don't know what else to say. But to thank you, grateful for all of you. We appreciate all of you for what you brought to the table today. And keep bringing it. And this will be available, I believe, the recording certainly will be available to share if you would like. And Aaron, you're putting all the poems and things like that together?
We're going to collect them together, and then we usually make a blog post after our community calls that sort of digests the basic information, gives you a link to the recording, and notes if there are notes, if it's a more detailed session, where we're talking about all different kinds of practice or suggestions. We try to keep track of things. We don't yet know when the annual gathering will be for 2024. We're still sort of rebooting from the last one, which was just in October. So we're kind of, we realized that we needed to get our feet under us to get that moving for next year. So
okay, I just would love to plan and put it in my budget. So is it normally in October?
We are, I think, aiming more towards fall. That seems to have been good for this year. So we'll probably be aiming towards that for next year too.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. Other announcements that we have, our next community call will be December 12th. Let's see what we will be talking about on that call. December 12th, we'll be living into the questions together. We're going to invite people to reflect on the year with RCC. to share our story as a community. So there will be some time dedicated to solo journaling. So if you want to bring paper and markers, please do that. And we'll invite you to share your visions for RCC for 2024. And we would love to have you there if you can make it. That will be our last community call for the year. And then our next community call in 2024 will be on January 9th. So you'll get a little bit of a break before we're back knocking on your door, seeing if you want to participate. And I do actually also have one poem to leave you with, if you don't mind me reading one more. And hopefully this will close us out. This is from the Field Guide to the Haunted Forest, is the first book by Jared K. Anderson. And this is called The Text. You are a unique sentence built from the alphabet of our universe. The letters were here before you, and the story will march on long after you've been read. But you will forever be a part of the definitive text of existence. It's too late for you not to matter. I'll read that just one more time. You are a unique sentence built from the alphabet of our universe. The letters were here before you, and the story will march on long after you've been read. But you will forever be part of the definitive text of existence. It's too late for you not to matter. You all matter.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, you all matter to us, and we're so grateful that you could join us here today. Margarita, thank you so much for facilitating, bringing your presence to this call. We're so appreciative. So glad you could be here with us.
You're welcome.
And thank you all.
Thank you. And we wish Ben speedy recovery.
Yes, I'll share that. Yeah, thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your days.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.